center. We are at a recruitment fair for ICE. I want to talk to folks and see who wants to be a deportation officer and why.
I'm a college student, recently graduated.
Former flight attendant.
I did 8 years in the Marine Corps.
Doors haven't even opened yet, and already there's a line of more than 100 people waiting to get in. ICE saw this event advertised on ICE's social media account. The benefits they're offering are pretty extensive. There's an up to $50,000 signing bonus, $60,000 in student debt reduction, up to 25% overtime rate. The Trump administration is adding tens of billions of dollars to the budget and is trying to make immigration enforcement really the center of law enforcement in this country right now. This is the Esports Stadium in Arlington, Texas. It's usually a space for gamers. Today, ICE is hiring for a variety of different positions. The lines have been the longest for deportation officers. That has the lowest bar to entry. College degree is not necessarily required, and ICE is trying to hire 10,000 deportation officers. The signage behind me says, "Defend the homeland." What were the attractions of working for ICE?
I'm very patriotic.
You know, guarding America, guarding the homeland.
When I saw Uncle Sam pointing that finger, I just had it in my heart. And you're thinking, look at this guy, he's an immigrant. He wants to become a deportation officer. Doesn't make any sense to you, makes 100% sense to me.
We're seeing a bit of the speed and scale that the Trump administration is trying to move at. They're moving people in and out assembly line style. They're offering drug testing on site, and they're even saying that you could walk out of here with a tentative offer letter to start a new job at ICE.
I was able to get an offer today. I accepted, and then I went and did all my process, my fingerprinting and my drug testing. Background check is next, and then of course training.
There's a lot of criticism of ICE and its tactics in enforcing immigration law. You can hear the protesters behind me shouting at applicants as they walk in, calling them Nazis and fascists, and even identifying them by name. They're looking up people's license plate numbers. So are you worried about being called a Nazi?
You know, I don't mind risking my freedom to safeguard yours.
ICE has become kind of a really polarizing agency.
Is this a father and son? You can't hide it together.
It reflects the big divides within America. It's a flashpoint for how people feel about Trump's mass deportation agenda.
For the first time ever, the Arkansas National Guard being deployed in our state to assist federal immigration customs enforcement agents. Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders made that announcement today. 4029's Brett Rains is in Fort Smith tonight with what Guard members are tasked with doing.
Some of our state representatives and senators that I talked to today say they're waiting to hear directly from Governor Sanders before they say what they think about using the National Guard to support ICE agents. Now tonight, the governor's office is not releasing any additional information, and half the troops that are being deployed will be stationed here in Fort Smith and in Northwest Arkansas. Starting now, 40 Arkansas National Guard troops are being deployed throughout the state to assist with federal immigration enforcement. 10 are being assigned in Fort Smith, and 10 are being assigned in Fayetteville. The rest will be stationed out of the Little Rock area. Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders made the call to activate the Guard's men and women. They will not be armed and will help with logistics for transporting people who are detained, including driving or riding in a vehicle with an ICE agent who has someone in custody. National Guard members will also help process those who are detained by immigration customs enforcement agents. Last year, Governor Sanders deployed 40 troops to the southern border to assist Texas law enforcement. 80 troops were deployed to the border in 2023, but it's the first time National Guard troops are being deployed here in Arkansas to help enforce federal immigration laws. The federal government is funding the special operation that's happening now all the way through November 15th. In Fort Smith, Brett Rains, 4029 News.
Shalom, I'm going to start this off by giving honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushai, Wa'awakak Wadash. Peace and salutations to the elect men of Israel, starting with the other apostles of GMS on down to the rest of you brothers, and the brothers that I labor with, who push his word, push the Lord's knowledge, his true understanding, according according to the true understanding of the Lord and the true understanding of the scriptures. In all faith, truth, and sincerity. To all of you, I say shalom. So, as you can see within those first two videos, what's been going on, and there's been a lot happening within the past couple of weeks, specifically in the state of Arkansas, which is where we're out of, and you can already see, what Esau got planned. You know what I'm saying, for you Jakes out here, And I'm gonna bring out this article because basically a couple of days ago there was a shootout out in this area, and it was the day before they announced that they're gonna be deploying the National Guard, right? But before I get started, I'm gonna just grab this real quick. Grab a quick scripture to start this off with. This is 2 Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 11. It says, "Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices." You see? So we know Satan likes to, Satan also being, working with this damn devil, Esau, Edom. Esau likes to use, Ordo ab Chao, right? Order out of chaos, his way of using chaos to continue to establish these wicked ass laws. And this is why you can't trust him, nor put your faith in him, nor trust in him, And the scriptures go on to talk about these things. But real quick, I'm gonna read this article real fast, and then jump into these scriptures. So Lord willing, this all be edifying. But this is this article here with Arkansas Democrat Gazette. It says Arkansas State Police identify man killed in Fayetteville apartment shootout. It says record shows he was due in court Monday in another incident involving a gun. So this, I believe, happened on Sunday. Yeah, this happened Sunday. And, more information came out as the days went on. So it says Fayetteville, Arkansas State Police have identified a man who died after police say he shot at them at an apartment complex Sunday as Brandon Poulter, 42, of Fayetteville. Fayetteville police respond to the Cliffs apartment around noon Sunday in reference to a gunshot. Police determined the gunshot came from 341 North Garden Court apartment. Says as officers attempt contact, more gunshots were fired from inside the apartment toward officers, who took cover and began securing the scene and evacuating surrounding apartments, according to the release. It was interesting because as I was reading and looking into this, the guy's name, his last name being Poulter, reminded me of poultry, so I had went into the etymology of it, right? And it says an earlier form of poulterer, right? And when you go into that word for poulterer, it says dealing in poultry, or one whose business is the sale of poultry, also hares and game, for the table. In regards to like hunting, basically like killing birds and other land animals for sport. So it all just seemed like interesting in regards to this potentially being more fuel that's being set up as a way to get things moving forward, get things going. As far as Esau trying to produce more chaos as ways for him to deploy more of the National Guard, to set up a state of emergency, have everything locked down, and ultimately to get to the point to, enforcing this ship, because that's the end all be all. Them trying to push this mark of the beast, and the way that they're going to do it is by having all these different things happening. Like a couple weeks ago, they had a hoax school shooting, at the University of Arkansas out here.
Most recent school shooting, college campuses across the country are grappling with active shooter hoaxes.
We were eating and me and him went to go throw out our garbage and we saw the active shooter alert, so everybody started running off.
In recent days, police flooding the University of South Carolina, the University of Tennessee, Chattanooga, and Villanova.
We didn't hear anything, didn't see anything. An officer came in with his pistol drawn, asked us if we heard any gunshots. We said no. He said, pack everything up that you have, get out of the building.
A swatting group called Purgatory is believed to be behind those hoax calls and nearly a dozen others, resulting in lockdowns and in some cases, panic.
Purgatory is a group of young people that are located in various countries. They come together online and they operate as an organized cell, target engaging in swatting for hire or swatting for their own purposes to include gaining notoriety. They want to gain notoriety so others will hire them for more swatting.
At least 10 hoax calls to universities were apparently made using Google Voice services. The calls even featured the sound of gunshots. The Purgatory group is said to offer its followers a menu of services, charging as little as $20 for each hoax threat.
In some cases, those engaging in swatting are young. They are teenagers. I've seen cases where they've been in high school. They will sometimes get paid to SWAT, often not for a lot of money, but they really do it for the notoriety. They do it for the thrill.
Now, officials are reminding people that issuing any hoax threat is a federal crime. This morning is
Yeah, so one of the schools that they showed on the screen was, the University of Arkansas. And how they mentioned, it being a hoax group on the internet called Purgatory, but they're not identifying who specifically. They're not saying any specifics on them besides they're also found overseas, right? But these could just all be different ploys, which more likely is the case, that Esau is using to basically fuel his motive to enforce, martial law, state of emergency, right? To lock everything down and get things moving forward, They're going to be coming in and taking our people, specifically you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, And that's definitely what you're seeing with this whole ICE situation. So this isn't something to be ignorant of, nor to take lightly, But continuing here just to finish this, right? Because it almost seems like how this situation played out, because they didn't even go into the specifics of like how this person died, just that they found him dead after having him shooting out the window. They say that the officers returned fire, but they don't establish whether or not they were the ones that killed him. They just say that, they just found him dead. So it kind of seems like bits and pieces of the story was missing. But, this apartment complex is a spot that's filled with Jake, which I'm going to read right here. It says, Georgia Markham, 21, is a resident of the Cliffs in the University of Arkansas, a Fayetteville student majoring in biological engineering. She says she lives in the same building where the shooter took place. Says when Markham and her roommate first heard gunfire, they initially didn't pay it much mind, thinking some sort of work was taking place. You see, Jake just being ignorant. It says, and this Eve, it says it sounded like banging or construction, which is not normal for a Sunday. She said, then the police came to her door. Officers evacuated Markham and her roommate, along with others in the building, and they were taken to the top of the hill behind the building. She said they stayed there for the rest of the incident, as the rest of the incident unfolded, with Markham estimating she heard around 40 gunshots in total. And then, let me see. Yeah, it says Markham says she saw Poulter exit his apartment and she never saw Poulter exit his apartment, believes he was shooting from his window. It says, I think he was just spraying and praying, she said. She added it was hard to believe that with all those shots fired, only one person was killed. It says, however, a lot of property was damaged in the exchange. She says several cars parked in the apartment complex were struck by gunfire. All our cars got sprayed, Markham said. My boyfriend's car got Swiss cheesed. That's some Jake shit to say. Shit getting Swiss cheese. It says now they are working with insurance to see if they could, what they can do about getting all the damage fixed. And then jumping down, it says Kaiser Mooney, 28, who was in the building at the time of the incident, said Sunday he heard gunfire and police came to his apartment and told him to leave. Mooney said the gunfire lasted 30 to 40 minutes, and he estimated 50 to 60 gunshots were fired during the standoff. Court records show Poulter had been charged with first-degree terroristic threatening in Madison County Circuit Court and had a court appearance set for Monday. It says, according to a probable cause affidavit from Madison County Sheriff's Office, on December 12th, Poulter was armed with a bolt-action rifle and threatened to kill a man. So you can see they got pictures here, right? There's that Mooney guy. He's showing gunshot bullets there, So there's a lot going on, and all this stuff that's going on, it's just going to be more fuel, for Esau to start getting things moving. You know what I'm saying? Setting up these decrees, these laws, and all these things that's unrighteous. Towards the poor. The poor and needy. Towards ultimately those of Israel. And we aren't to be ignorant of these things. So now just jumping into these scriptures, right? This is 2 Corinthians 2:11 again. It says, "Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices." So these are things that we aren't to be ignorant of. These are things that we need to be paying attention to, right? Because it's already happening in a slew of different places. They're going to mention right here, the ones that's being sent out within the state of Arkansas. It says the Air National Guard will provide 27 airmen, and the Army National Guard will provide 13 soldiers. It says 18 in Little Rock, 10 in Fayetteville, 10 in Fort Smith, and 2 in Camp Robinson. So it's basically like a map. You see where they finna have them at. It's happening all over, and it's just gonna keep growing more and more. Especially with this Chicago talk that Trump's been going into, So you can't expect it to be, because they come in talking smooth words, just talking about them trying to get criminals, and all the things that you going on the seas, Jake doing this goofy, wicked shit, which really just gonna be their demise. But they not gonna, at a certain point, they not gonna be just looking to be asking a whole bunch of questions. They just gonna be, getting in and getting dirty. This is Psalms 94, verse 20. It says, "Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee?" It says, "Which frameth mischief by a law." You see, so this throne of iniquity, right, being those that are doing wickedly, Esau, Edom, right, and the powers, thereof within the system, they not looking to have fellowship with you, They're gonna frame mischief by the law, a law that they set up, a law that they enforce, and it's a law that's gonna be against us, You blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians, right? That's why we need to be trusting the Lord, getting ourselves right with the Lord, repenting. That way we are under the protection of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. Not looking to be under the protection of Esau Edom, because it's only going to be a knife to your back. It says they gather themselves together against the soul of the righteous and condemn the innocent blood. You see? And we're the righteous. We are the ones that were set up to be the righteous, right? and they're coming, for the innocent of our people. You can't take this lightly. This ain't something to just not pay attention to. This is something to brush off, for like how Eve, within this situation, ain't take no thought of, there being gunshots happening, within her building. Talking about it sounded like banging in construction, which isn't normal for a Sunday. So, let's just take it shit lightly, because that should have been a sign to be, weary or paying attention, And all of a sudden, this shit happens. That's why we just gotta stay out the way, I'm gonna get Isaiah chapter 32, verse 6. It says, "For the vile person will speak villainy, and his heart will work iniquity to practice hypocrisy, and to utter error against the Lord, to make empty the soul of the hungry." It says, "And he will cause the drink of the thirsty to fail." So this vile person, being Esau Edom, right? He's gonna be speaking, and it says in the AMP, and his heart, being his mind, plans wickedness. You see, so he's planning to do some wicked ass shit, right? Back in the KJV, to practice hypocrisy, right? He's gonna utter words. He's gonna utter error against the Lord. He gonna be Esau love coming and acting like he godly. That's Trump trying to supplant to get these so-called Edomite Christians to follow after him. But ultimately, he going against the Lord because he going against the Lord's people. He going against what the word go on to say. He not telling our people who they really are. You know, he looking to destroy our people as much as possible in hopes to keep his rulership going. You know, he knows he has but a short time, right? But he basically looking to take down as many as possible. You know what I'm saying, on his way out with him. You know, if I'm going down, y'all going down with me, basically. He doing everything he can to try to keep this God complex going for him. He trying to make his house, last forever, as it says in Psalms 49:11. You know, him thinking that to be the case. You know, even in Obadiah it talks about that, right? Thinking he gonna build up again and continue to be able to do so, right? They go on to say that Trump trying to make America safe again, which ultimately to them is getting rid of us, so we can't take none of this lightly. It says the instruments also of the churl are evil. He deviseth wicked devices to destroy the poor with lying words, you see. Even when the needy speaketh right, So even though it's clear, we know, this man is the damn devil, he's still gonna be setting up different instruments, different devices, to come against our people, right? And that includes, the National Guard, all these different laws, right? Martial law, state of emergency, ultimately these wicked decrees. 10:1. It says, woe, Isaiah chapter 10 and verse 1, woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees and that write grievousness which they have prescribed. You see? So, this man is setting up all this chaos to enforce and establish these wicked laws that's just gonna further the destruction of our people. That's why we need to turn back to the Lord. That's why those of you watching need to make sure that you on point how you need to with the Lord, right? That's why you need to be watching and paying attention to the times, measuring the times diligently, right? Holding and retaining the wisdom that's given by the Lord, right? Turning back to him, repenting of your wicked ways, no longer getting caught up in the fake shit that's going on around us. You know what I'm saying? Because real shit's happening. And if you not where you need to be at, if you're not paying attention, you're going to get caught up in the mess, And it's written, some of us going to get taken, and put in those camps, There's going to be different brothers being tested, their faith being tested, But you being built up and you holding on to the Lord's word, keeping it in your mind, building your spirit up to be able to withstand things, and not reject the Lord, Those are going to be the ones that's going to make it out. Those are going to be the ones that's going to be able to be saved, to escape, Better do it while you still can. I'm going to grab this, Isaiah 55:20. It says, he hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. he hath broken his covenant. You see? So they act all extra nice. They set up previous laws, in regards to, different covenants, if you will, playing nice, playing like they here to serve and protect. It's funny because there's a movie with Jason Statham called The Working Man, and from like the beginning of the movie, right? Because it's basically Northern Kingdom working with Esau in construction, and you could just see like within the whole movie for real, like the whole movie is like complete witchcraft into making mugs, specifically like Northern Kingdom, think like, oh, Esau is really here to help us and to help us, you know what I'm saying, in times of need and things like that. And that's not the case at all, completely not the case at all. It's a complete lie. Because the whole movie is this Edomite going above and beyond, fighting the cartel, the Russian mob or mafia, all these different wicked organizations all set up by Esau Edom to help, this Northern Kingdom girl, save her from being sex trafficked, you know what I'm saying? Which is crazy because Esau Edom was the one that set that up to be a thing, you know what I'm saying? So it's just crazy to see, like, them trying to depict this story, but it's just another way. It's another tool, another instrument, a wicked device that Esau sets up to try to plague your mind into thinking. You know what I'm saying? To basically drink of his Babylon cup. You know what I'm saying? Of confusion. Get your heart and your mind turned away from the Lord and what the Lord word go on to say. He gonna break these covenants. It says the words, verse 21, the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. You see? So this man is actively looking to destroy and kill our people with his words and with his actions and with the tools that he goes on to set up. This is Sirach. I'm going to end it here. Sirach 12, verse 10. It says, never trust thine enemy. For like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. Though he humble himself, right, and go crouching. And that's like what you see in that movie, The Working Man. That's what you go on to see in real life, in real time. They make it seem like they trying to protect, America, but you not looked at as an American. You know what I'm saying? You so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians. Because the label he put on all of us in comparison to him and his people. All right, so there's a separation there. Don't get yourself caught up in that thinking that you good, because you not. It says, yet take good heed and beware of him, and thou shalt be unto him as if thou hadst wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust have not been altogether wiped away. So he is still corrupt. He's still corrupted, That's like paying attention to his nature, right? At the end of the day, you might have it Edomite coming to you acting like he here to help, But then they give him the ultimatum: we gonna kill your family, or you deliver them up to us, That man delivering you up so quick, you know what I'm saying? Like you gotta pay attention to the nature of this man. Pay attention to the nature of your enemy, It says, set him not by thee, lest when he hath overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. It says, neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat. And thou at the last remember my words and be pricked therewith. You see? So don't let all this shit bite you in the ass because your ass is being too ignorant, and not being prudent, not being circumspect, not paying attention to how the days are evil, right? The present time, today, you know what I'm saying? Everything that's going on right now, and that's going to continue to keep going on. You know, he's looking to destroy us, and we can't be ignorant of those things. So, that's pretty much the point. You know, he looking to shed your innocent blood. He looking to kill our people. So we can't be ignorant of those things. You know, you got to make sure that you prepared to deal with whatever come your way, come our way. You know, speaking to myself first and foremost. So it's only up from here. You know, because as all this wicked stuff happens, right, we gonna get closer and closer to the day of the Lord coming. And when that day comes, you want to make sure that you were standing for the Lord the entire time. You know, some of us gonna be martyrs, but you gotta stand on that and stand tall, stand 10 toes for the Lord. You know, and you gonna get that salvation. So that's it. That's the point. You know, Esau just using more order out of chaos, right? So Lord, when it's been edifying with that, I'm gonna give all honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Wahawah Kakodash. Till next time, Shalom.